This is Hey Heart 143 with Natalie Tavidian. 143 means I love you. Together, we're learning to love ourselves and stay in love no matter what life throws at us. We are constantly evolving, changing, growing emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And we have to remember to check in with our own heart as we're propelled forward. When you love your own heart, you heal better, you do better, and you live a more fulfilled life. Hi everyone, today's episode is a guest episode with Jessica Nussbaum. She is a holistic health coach, a nutrition expert, a certified personal trainer, and she works one-on-one with clients. She's worked with men and women over the years. Right now, Jessica works primarily with women to help them heal their relationship with food. It was such a pleasure talking to Jessica because she's so real and so authentic. And she talks about really herself as well and just being human and being able to accept that you do sometimes fall off the wagon and it's totally okay. Her nutrition philosophy, she says, every time you eat is a new chance to nourish and heal yourself. When you heal yourself, you heal your relationship with food. What I loved about my interview with Jessica is that I feel like a lot of people can relate whether they have a healthy or unhealthy relationship with food. I feel like a lot of her techniques on this healing process can go with any kind of trauma, any kind of heartache that you've faced in your life. And Jessica was just so real and so authentic. It was such a pleasure speaking with her. She has a nutrition program and she discusses that nutrition and movement and emotions are all very connected. So I really hope that you enjoy listening to this episode. If you want to find Jessica, she's on nourishwithjess.com. And here is my guest episode. Yay. Jessica, welcome to Hey Heart 143.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's so awesome to get to meet people like just via social media nowadays and actually get face to face with them. So I'm really excited I came across you. So you are a certified personal trainer, holistic health coach. I thought you're such an important person to bring in on the show around the holidays especially. So dive into it. Talk about what exactly a holistic health coach does.
Oh, wow. There's quite a few things a holistic health coach does. I think the holistic side of being the health coach is just looking at a person as a whole, as opposed to their one particular symptom. And then, all right, well, I know a treatment for that symptom. Or, well, I have another client with your same symptom or issue or ailment. So I'm going to give you the regimen that worked for them and it'll work for you. It's really looking at someone as a whole and how other areas of their life are affecting whatever it is that they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And then with your job as a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, what exactly do you do there?
Quite a bit. I've worked for several studios, gyms, doing personal training. Right now I work independently, so I go to people's homes to train them. And sometimes that involves, anything and everything from, of course, training them. I also recently got my yoga teacher training.
Yay.
Yeah, so
Congrats.
thank you. It's brand new. So just like I've been working with one person one-on-one doing yoga. And as far as the nutrition side of it goes, it's different for everyone. Some people just need help with, I would say meal planning is a huge one for people, especially, well, I'm from the Bay Area. Okay. And now everyone's busy there. This is LA. Everyone's busy here. So it's, how do I plan for meals, eating healthy while I'm traveling? How do I grocery shop? Or I meal prep and then I'm sick of my food in 2 days. So it's kind of just overcoming all those obstacles. And then even so much as like, can you help me with what's going on in my fridge and my pantry? And is this good? Is this healthy? What are some better alternatives? Or food allergies, food sensitivities? What can I do in place of this or that? So quite a few things.
A lot of what I've discussed on this podcast is a lot of the spiritual part of self-love, but what you put in your body is such a big part of feeling good and feeling whole. How do you work with people who, like, okay, let's talk about the holidays, like just feel guilty, like I had a cookie and I feel bad about this. How do you deal with that?
I think with the holidays, there's just this added pressure and stress with trying to be everywhere and please everyone. I mean, that guilt is year round. You know, you eat, quote, I'm doing my air quotes, you eat clean for a few days and then you have a cookie and you feel guilty about it no matter what time of year it is. But then with the holidays, you have the stress of traveling, you're spending more money with presents, parties, more alcohol is involved, you're probably eating out more, again, eating at parties. So then there's like that added guilt. And I think it's just all that extra stress. And, you know, I really tell people you can't treat the holidays that much differently than you do another
Any other time of year.
Any other time of the year, yeah, especially when it comes to New Year's resolutions. I think that's a big one that people are like, all right, I'm going to start clean in January, or I'm just going to go all out for December and eat and drink whatever I want. And then I'm going to do my dry January, and I'm not going to eat any sugar or gluten for the entire month of January. Only kale and twigs and leaves and berries. Like, that's it. And so we can maybe merge those two things together of enjoying the holidays, not having that be your right at the forefront of your mind. And, you know, this all or nothing approach, all for December and nothing for January. Let's try to bring those things together so it's not just this huge, you know, overwhelming kind of state to be in.
I feel like I saw a lot of chocolate on your Instagram page.
Ooh, I love chocolate.
I love that.
I love chocolate. And chocolate's good for you. Like, cacao itself, it's such a major antioxidant. Like, go for it. Have the chocolate. And, you know, especially with guilt becomes a thing when you put the shame into eating foods that you like. And if you like chocolate, then eat it. You know, if you can, the best quality of it, the darker, right, the better. There's also less sugar. You're not going to get a bellyache, and also you're not going to kind of have those continuous cravings. So
speaking of your Instagram, your tagline is working with women to heal their relationship with food. Where is that healing? Like, why does there need to be a healing there? And what have you seen in your clients with their relationship with food? Like, does that come to, you know, emotional eating, binge eating, not eating enough, eating too much? Talk about that finding that balance.
Okay, where should I start? There's a lot involved in that. When I first start working with someone, usually by the time someone comes to me, they are at that point where they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They've tried a lot of diets. They've tried to restrict, or maybe they are an emotional eater. I myself sometimes still can be, but in the past, a huge emotional eater, binge eater. I told no one about it. I did it 100%. You know, it's a shameful thing. You always do it alone. You don't do it around other people. So there's lots of things involved as far as that goes.
So did you get into nutrition because of your own relationship with food, or
yes and no?
Was that a part of it?
Kind of yes and no.
Okay.
I would say, I think honestly it was kind of my love to just exercise.
Okay.
It was like a cool thing, and exercise really pulled me out of depression for sure. You know, I think movement is the opposite of stillness and being sad and depressed and stuck on your couch. So that's something that helped pull me out of it. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I can help other people with this. That's where it started when I was like 22, I think, 23.
Okay. And that's such a big part of, even with starting your mornings centered and your spirituality, to start every day with movement.
If you can, yeah. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
But, you know, in any way, shape, or form that you can. And I think you got to be realistic about it, too. There's plenty of people that I work with. Now I work with mostly women, but I've worked with men, too. And ladies, they're just like us. They have body image issues. They struggle with getting in their exercise, and they have food guilt as well. So we're all kind of in the same boat.
So you've seen that with men as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
they don't as open about it or talk to their buddies about it.
Exactly. I was just going to say they're not talking about it. They're probably not going on podcasts and talking about it with their friends, but they totally feel the same way. I mean, I think we all want to be happy and healthy and do things that maybe they're not the best for us, or they're self-sabotaging and we're not sure why, and then we feel bad about it. We feel guilty about it.
Yeah. So bringing that back to that healing, because we talk about emotional healing, but your relationship with food is just such a big part of that, and I've never really covered any of that up.
Sure. Well, I like to tell my clients, and I think it's somewhere there in my website. It's, you know, you have to start by healing your relationship with yourself.
Nourishwithjess.com.
Yeah. You have to start with healing your relationship with yourself before you can do it with food per se. And I think a lot of women will have these feelings of whether they're self-doubt, feeling insecure, whether that's about their body or just who they are in general, and they try to fix it with changing their body. Well, if I lose 10 pounds, I'm going to feel better, I'm going to feel worthy, I'm going to feel loved. Or they try to fix it by going on a diet. So they're like, if I can eat perfectly, I'll be a better person, I'll be worthy, I'll be loved, I'll be successful, or I'll be happier. Or once I start, looking a certain way, then I could go after my dreams. I'll start dating. I hear that from a lot of women.
Yeah.
That they're not dating because they're waiting until they get whatever.
So their goal weight.
Exactly. Or, well, once I achieve this, I'm going to go on that vacation I've been dreaming about. So we kind of look at those feelings first, and the start of it is just simply talking about it and also writing it down. I'm a huge believer in journaling, writing down what you feel. So if you work with me, you are going to have homework assignments, and a lot of that is you're going to get a journal and you're going to write these things down.
So talk about the steps. Where do you begin with the healing?
So the first thing, it's my program is you can either do 6 months with me or 3 months. But the first month is we just talk about your food history, anything and everything. And part of that is just getting it out there. So whatever your issue with food is, if you're someone that you binge eat at night, you don't tell anyone about it. Or if you're someone that you count every calorie and you write it down, whatever that is, let's just see it for what it is and accept it for what it is. And part of that is just saying out loud, hey, I'm just a person that I track every single calorie. Or, hey, I'm a person that I binge eat Saturday and Sunday, or whatever it is. And part of that is just once you can kind of say it to another human being, whether that's a health coach, if you can work with a health coach or therapist, or maybe it's to your significant other, or most importantly to yourself.
Just say it out loud.
Just say it out loud. And then it just kind of like relieves. It's like lifting the lid off of that pot that's been bubbling up for years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, this is just kind of who I am. So that's definitely the start of it. And then we kind of look at what is your food history, meaning, what are your patterns? Do you, like I said, there are people that Monday through Friday, they're like eating perfectly, but then on the weekends, they're like binging, or their food habits are different. Are they lonely on the weekend? Are they bored on the weekend? So we kind of just look at what their patterns are, and we see, all right, well, where's there some wiggle room? Where can we shift things around a little bit? Also, what's missing in your life that you're needing to kind of compensate for, whether it's overeating or undereating, whatever it is, right? They're both similar.
I hired a nutritionist years ago when I was working as a television anchor. So my sleep schedule was all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
And the first change she made wasn't even nutrition related. She said, let's pick one thing, drink more water this week. And it made such a big difference because then my hand wasn't going to food instead to feel awake. The next one was just getting more sleep. And it was amazing how, I just started feeling better.
Yeah, it's a domino effect.
And I'm just reminding myself to get more sleep right now.
We all need more sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is a domino effect. And, that little act of self-care, totally drinking more water. I mean, we're all dehydrated. But, just doing something like that, taking that first step, again, that's just kind of creating this snowball effect of doing things like in your favor and working towards yourself as opposed to against yourself. So, yeah, she was smart.
So where do you stand with dieting and calorie counting? And
oh gosh, it's so oversaturated now. It's exhausting. And now I think we're on the upswing, right?
More
of intuitive eating, but now like intuitive eating is like fatiguing and exhausting and oversaturated. It's everywhere now.
What do you mean?
I mean, I would say it's all over, for sure, all over Instagram, how to work on intuitive eating or anti-dieting, which is, I think, a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's almost kind of at this extreme. And I'm like a visual person. So I describe, with your relationship with food is no matter what extreme you do, if you have a pendulum and you swing it really high on the other end, it has nowhere to go. But the opposite, really high to the other end.
Okay.
And what I like to do for people is kind of help them find somewhere in the middle. So if they do swing left or right, it will always come back to the middle. There's not going to be this major upswing all the way this way or all the way that way. And so I think it's great that people are kind of tired of calorie counting, tired of, the diet books and trying this diet and that diet. But now the upswing of that is intuitive eating, and it's almost like bombarded with, am I doing intuitive eating correctly? Or what if I'm not doing intuitive eating? Am I a bad person? So
Yeah. Or what if I can't trust myself? And,
that's tough too. Is, well, am I hungry and am I not hungry? Am I
Yeah.
trying to? Because now I'm hearing people like, am I doing intuitive eating correctly? Am I being intuitive enough? It's tough out there.
So it's very different for each person then.
It's really different for each person. And, learning to quiet out all that noise, especially when it's right on your phone every time you open Instagram or Facebook, or maybe even listen to a podcast. It's right there, and it's hard to really hear what's inside of you and what works best for you, whether that's, this is the diet that works best for me. If you're a meat eater or a non-meat eater, it's really hard to know that when you're hearing,
You should do
paleo
this.
is best. Oh, plant-based is best. That's really difficult.
Yeah, and there's so many crazes out there. It's like, what works for me? What should I do?
Yeah. And part of it is trial and error. There's nothing wrong with, I tell my clients all the time, there's nothing wrong with trying something. You can change your mind. If you've been a vegan for 5 years, it's okay to say, I want to try eggs again. Like, it's not a bad thing. And you could go back to not eating them. And again, trial and error that's how you get to know yourself. And that's part of that healing process. Your relationship with food is kind of feeling things out and knowing, this does work for me, or this doesn't work for me, or this used to work for me and it no longer does.
And that's okay. No judgment there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that. Talk a little bit more about the holidays and about New Year's resolution. Is that something you're hearing a lot with people going, I'm going to lose weight in 2020. I'm going to start this decade, like where do you find that balance?
Well, I've been hearing it for years now. Like, all right, January 1st, this is it. Or, all right, people are already putting in their orders. They put in their orders for their bone broth cleanses, their green juice cleanses for, to pick them up January 1st or 2nd or whenever they get back into town. I wish I had an answer for this is how you find balance. But I think overall, if you create space in your life for other things other than dieting, losing weight, etc., then that everything surrounding food and that complicated relationship with food, once that kind of shrinks and you do create more space for other things in your life, it won't overwhelm you as much, and it won't take up a lot of your thoughts. I ask my clients, how much of your day do you spend thinking about food, exercise, how your body looks, all of those things, right? And I'm like, just jot it down, write down, take a sample day and write down every time you have a thought about your body, negative or positive. Hopefully more positive, but either one. And imagine if those thoughts maybe they'll come and go, but you're not going to linger on them for an hour, right?
Yeah.
What else could you do with your time and your energy? Or are those thoughts maybe covering something else up that's bothering you, or that you're interested in, or you're curious about, and instead it's about food and whatnot. When it comes to the holidays, what can I say? They're fun. Enjoy them, and
don't feel guilty.
Don't feel guilty. Yeah. Don't feel guilty. It's kind of like, be real and be realistic. If you're going to go to parties and there's going to be alcohol, and or you're going to go to a dinner, potluck style, what have you, be realistic. I think sometimes it's very easy to get overwhelmed in our own experience and our emotions, but don't take away from the reality. That doesn't take away from the reality of things. There's always going to be another party. It's okay if you say no to some things, and it's okay if you overindulge in some things. Yeah. Life is still going to go on, but I mean, yeah, and don't feel guilty, and that's part of practicing that year round, though, I think.
How would you say you healed your own relationship with food? Because you said you've had kind of pockets of emotional eating and whatnot.
For sure.
Really, who hasn't?
Probably talking to a therapist about it for a really long time.
Okay.
Talking to someone, and even then, it felt like it almost got worse, because it was kind of like opening Pandora's box of all of these horrible emotions that I was feeling, and all of the shame it was coming out. So it's, like when you're a teenager and they give you Zit cream and the doctor tells you it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's kind of how it is.
Because you have to dig deep.
You have to dig deep, and you have to get comfortable being really uncomfortable. And you kind of just, I guess your eyes open up a little bit more to, I'm totally not eating because I'm hungry. I'm 100% eating because I'm lonely, because I'm bored, because something just happened at work and I'm so frustrated and I feel powerless. And so now I'm going to do this something else to distract myself.
It rings true to so many emotional wound healing. Any other kind of, emotional wound is you do have to open it up to finally close that.
Yeah. And I don't know, for me personally, for some people it's very possible. For me personally, I don't know if that wound or wounds will ever be closed, but I think you can be aware of them, right? And there's totally days now, very much less than before. Before it would be like days and days and days, and it was just like a downward spiral and you just feel hopeless. And I totally still have moments now where I'm fully aware that like, I'm not hungry, but I'm eating this because I just had an argument with someone or something bad happened at work. But then it's like, well, this is a thing I do with food, and then I can move on.
And you're human at the end of the day.
I'm human.
Yeah, I love how authentic you are about it.
Thank you.
I feel like a lot of people listening right now will be able to relate with you, because everything you're saying right now is like what I feel about heartaches that I've had, and talking to therapists and saying, when is it going to go away? And her just being like, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay if you have triggers or if you have these moments, but you're moving forward.
For sure. And that's the goal, I think, for anyone to move forward. If you're struggling with food, and if the holidays, come on, family, hello, triggers. Yeah. So if the holidays are tough for you, being around family is tough with you. And then on top of that, you have food. Just accept that, yes, you're going to get triggered. Yes, you might overindulge. Yes, you might do some emotional eating. Yes, you might feel guilty, but you can keep moving forward. And just because it's January doesn't mean that's all going to magically go away. January is like any other month. It's kind of a bummer month because it's the holidays are over, but other than that, it's like any other month, and you could still forgive yourself and do your best to move forward.
I love that. Just look at the big picture as a whole.
Yeah, time goes quick.
Yeah.
So we'll be here, January 2021 and so
and talking about New Year's resolutions
exactly.
Again. All right, nourishwithjess.com. That's your website. Where else can people find you?
Instagram, Nourish with Jess. Okay. And I think that's it.
Yes. Okay. Instagram and website. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you, Natalie.
The conversation was very healing, and good. I really hope that whoever's listening out there got something out of this.
Yes.
And if you guys have friends, family to share this to, if you think of anybody that needs to hear this, pass it along. And thank you again, Jessica, for joining
me. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Remember, 143 means I love you. Tell your own heart I love you.